How's it going, and Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be doing my review for Fear the Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 2, which was titled Blue Jay. Now, overall, this was a very dark episode, actually. Surprisingly dark, in my opinion. And it was decent. I've heard some people say it was better than last week's episode. I honestly don't know if I like it more than last week's episode or not. There is definitely a bit more intrigue to this episode, and we'll talk about that a bit later in this review by what I mean by intrigue. But I do just kind of wish we saw more of Morgan and Madison in the episode, although we do get to see them at the end, and we'll talk about that later in the episode, in the review as well. But I do kind of wish we got to see a bit more of them. However, I am very glad we got to see June and Dwight and Sherry. We got to catch up with those characters because I really enjoy those characters, especially Dwight and Sherry. So it was cool to see them again, just to see where they're at. But basically, June is she's in a very dark place right now, actually. And she's basically cutting off all the collector's fingers that she comes across. And she uses like tranquilizers to do this. And we don't really know why. We end up finding out at the end of the episode. And it's because of her relationship with Shrike, who is that woman with the weird hair, the goofy looking hair, which I don't actually know if we even knew her name. Maybe we did, but I feel like this is the first time we actually know her name. Everyone's named after birds, apparently, but yeah. She does this, though, because, okay, we'll try and go chronological here in this review, but basically June comes across this person named Adrian who's also looking for his daughter, and he believes that Hannah, his daughter, is at Padre, and basically June just doesn't really want to help him out at the moment. And then as she goes and finds more collectors to cut fingers off of, she comes across Dwight and Sherry, and she accidentally, tranquilizes them, and she's like about to cut their fingers off, and that would have been bad if she didn't realize it was Dwight and Sherry. And then we see that Dwight and Sherry have their kid, Finch. He's a bit grown up now, which is pretty cool, I guess. Actually, Finch looked a lot like Dwight, like a young version of Dwight, in my opinion. Then we find out Finch has appendicitis, so that's why June will come in handy with her knowledge of all that. And they go to this train where Padre was running experiments on how to treat walker bites, which is pretty interesting. And we find that basically radiation was kind of helping the walker bites. Not really, though. But we do know what happened with Alicia last season. She was exposed to radiation, and she wasn't killed after the bite, even though it was amputated. I'm still confused on that whole situation, what happened with her, but whatever. But yeah, we find out June used to work here with Padre, and then Adrian shows back up and thinks Dwight and Sherry are obviously collectors, so he's kind of pissed off at them. But then Dwight ends up firing a bullet and hits one of the, I think, control panels. They lose power, so they can't do the surgery on Finch's appendix. So then more walkers come because of the gunshot as well. So now they're kind of like trapped in this train car of sorts. And there's that one scene where Dwight and Sherry are like up on one of the shelves, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. And all the walkers are like surrounding them. That was pretty intense. I did like that. And Adrian throughout this episode keeps mentioning that there's other people who would like to, stop Padre and take them down. I imagine we'll see more of them eventually sometime later this season. But Adrian ends up dying at the end of this episode because he sees Hannah. He's turned into a walker. He kind of breaks down and just kind of, not sacrifices himself, but just kind of dies and lets Hannah and the other walkers devour him, basically. But that is kind of interesting that Adrian keeps mentioning these people throughout the episode, that there's other people. And he has a radio, and someone was talking to him on the radio, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, that'll be cool to see. And a good thing about this episode, I will say, that moment before Adrian dies and he's trying to get information out of June, we see Jenna Elfman's performance was actually really good this episode. I mean, she's usually always good, but yeah, she's a really good performance there, and she has to kind of explain what happened with Hannah because, well, Adrian's pretty upset that Hannah's a walker, obviously. But yeah, then Adrian dies, and Dwight and Sherry want June to come with them to leave Padre. And the surgery went well, apparently, with Finch's appendix. And then, of course, Shrike shows up. And then she uses, like, Adrian's head, I think it was Adrian, to bite Finch to show that she can save him because there's apparently a cure, which is pretty interesting, to be honest, I gotta say. And that was actually a very shocking moment. I wasn't really expecting Finch to get bit in that moment. I thought something was going to happen. And that's what I mean by this episode was dark. Seeing Dwight and Sherry's reaction to the whole thing was just kind of messed up. But it does seem that Shrike might actually have something to help Finch with this bite. And the bite was definitely like on his shoulder. It wasn't something, it wasn't something that you could really be like amputate off because, it was like almost on his collarbone kind of as well. So, that's pretty crazy. But then we find out that Shrike also is going to cut June's finger off because the reason June had been cutting fingers off is to kind of show that these people at Padre don't have power over her. They don't have trigger fingers. It's kind of like a metaphorical thing. And, so that's kind of messed up. Now they're all going back to Padre. But then at the end of the episode, we do catch up with Madison and Morgan, and they're being transported in a truck. And Madison lets Morgan basically, she devises this plan. I thought she was actually having a real like attack because she needs oxygen, but it doesn't seem like that was the case. She was just kind of tricking the people at Padre. And Morgan ends up escaping from them to get Mo, maybe. So that'll be very interesting to see where that storyline goes. But, it was a okay episode. It wasn't bad. I think it maybe is better than the last episode, but I don't know for sure. Again, I do wish we just got to see a bit more of Morgan and Madison. And I think we're getting Daniel next episode as well, which will be pretty fun. So I feel like each episode of the show's a bottle episode, though, which I just don't like. But that's been the case for a while now at this point. But, I didn't hate the episode by any means. It just could have been a bit better, in my opinion. But I did like Jenna Elfman's performance, so that's definitely a plus. And I'm interested to see where this whole plot line goes with the cure, because that's a pretty big deal. But anyways, let me hear your thoughts on the episode down in the comments below. What did you guys think was your favorite part and all that? And what do you guys think about the cure? That's kind of interesting. But let me hear all that. And if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my Letterboxd and Twitter down in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.